Today I'm going to be doing a 1 year review of my Corsair K70 RGB Rapidfire mechanical gaming keyboard, which uses the MX Cherry RGB silver switches. I've had the keyboard for actually longer than a year, and I cleaned it for the very first time about 2 to 3 weeks ago. I generally use it for work, but also use it for MMO gaming. I use it for about 2 to 3 hours a day for gaming and maybe 1 to 3 hours for my work. And so far I'm quite happy with it. Generally the only noise is the clacking of when the key hits the stopper. There doesn't seem to be any noise for the switch activation, which I'm quite happy about. The activation is the quickest out of any still, at 1.2 millimeters. There are some that claim to be faster, but it's just semantics at this stage, and it's quite a low pressure needed at 45 centinewtons, which is around 45 grams of pressure weight. I find it so light that I can just be sitting with my hand on the keyboard, resting on the keyboard, and sometimes keys will get activated. There is no tactile response to activation, so from initial press from woe to go, there's no feedback that the key is being activated. So the key will be activated partially through the push until you hit all the way down to the bottom of the stopper. Not a big deal for me. I've gotten used to it. At first it was it got a little bit of getting used to while typing for everyday use, but I love it. 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 Okay, so my previous keyboards were Logitech gaming keyboards. They did not use mechanical switches. They were all membrane type switches. The last one was the G19S. Now they were both backlit, and the G19S, you could change the color to one of 16 million colors for the backlight, but it was one color takes all. All the keys were the same color, so not per key RGB lighting, unlike the Corsair K70 RGB. The Logitech was starting to get old. It also has an LCD screen, which is nifty, but it needed extra power, and in the end it really didn't do anything. It was helpful in small ways, but you could watch videos on it, but the screen was only 320 by 240, I believe, so the videos were so small it just was not worth the hassle. The looks were starting to get dated, and I found the row of gaming keys down the left hand side, I just never used them, so it's a biggish keyboard. It's bigger than this one, although not too much bigger, as we'll find out a little bit later. Anyway, I thought I'd maybe look at getting a different keyboard, maybe with some mechanical keys. I'd heard all the hubbub about mechanical keys, so I did some investigation, went into some shops, tried out the different keys, and where you can test out different keys, the noises, the pressures, how they work, and I thought I'd give the K70 a go. Looking at the keyboard without the wrist rest, the keys do seem to be a bit proud, but with the wrist rest on, the height of the keys is not an issue at all. The keyboard comes with a key puller and 10 additional keys, mainly for to replace your gaming keys, the QWER ASDF keys. Now I've replaced 7 of those. What is left is I haven't replaced the F key, and there are 2 W keys that look exactly tend to be exactly the same, and 2 D keys which have got opposing mirror image profiles on them. Because I'm not using the F key, I just went with the D key that had the opposing profile to the A key, and that was my choice there. The USB cable has 2 connectors on it. One can be plugged directly into the USB 3, and then you don't need to use the other cable. However, the USB pass-through, for the USB pass-through to work, the second connector needs to be plugged in. If you're not going to use the USB pass-through and just need the power and the RGB, then just the USB 3 is plugged in is fine. If you're using USB 2, both cables need to be plugged in as well, and I'm assuming that that's to get the right amount of power to the keyboard to power everything as it needs to be. The layout is the standard American 104, North American 104 key layout, with some extra keys at the top for media duties, Windows key lock, and a brightness toggle to make the actual lights either dimmer or brighter. There are 3 different light settings. Plus you've got the standard num lock, caps lock, and scroll lock LEDs at the top here. The keyboard has an aluminium body with an aluminium volume roller. All the other buttons and keycaps are all plastic. There are some feet on the bottom that fold out to help raise the back to tilt the keys some more. However, with the wrist rest, I find I don't need to have those out, as the tilt on the keyboard's fine for me. The wrist rest is plastic with a rubberized base where you actually have your wrist, and that just clips on quite nicely. That clips on. It actually clips in, it's not magnetic. The only real problem I have with the rest is little white specks of dust and what have you get stuck in the dimples in the texturized rubber. Other than that, it's good design, I like it, and it works well. When first plugged in, this keyboard just has the default rainbow lighting scheme, and to change that you use the software that can be downloaded from the Corsair website. The original versions were called the Corsair Link software. There was other software called the Corsair Q software, which controlled other hardware like the power supplies and other bits and pieces. Corsair have now amalgamated that software into one called iQ, which they are updating. There are reasonably frequent updates, about one a month, if not more. This software also controls firmware for all the devices that you have in your machine. Okay, the iQ software, which is the current version, has different options for lighting your devices. There is instant lighting, and if you have multiple devices like I have, then they get all get given that profile. For example, red. All the lights turn red. Ignore the motherboard. Obviously, the motherboard is not part of Corsair. Corsair cannot control that. Be nice if they could. So you have different options: orange, yellow, green, dark green, another green, light blue, blue, purpley pink, white, which isn't bad, black, or disabled instant lighting. And then that goes back to the lighting schemes that you've made up. I've made a few different lighting schemes myself, and this is a bit busy. I'll potentially change it. I don't know at this stage, but you can select groups of keys to get a certain lighting scheme, and then you assign it to whatever scheme you like. So I have one where my gaming keys are red, my other letter keys are dark blue, my number keys are light blue, all the other keys are green. On my mouse, similar, green at the front, blue at the back. Ooh. Blue at the black, blue at the black, blue at the back. However, I find the mouse, the front light doesn't really show up much, and the back light is almost always covered by your hand, so that's not too useful. The mouse pad you can individualize by area within the mouse pad and do the same color schemes, and then the lighting node Pro again is the same. So I currently have my mouse pad and lighting node Pro set up the same or similar. I may be doing the same, may shift that same scheme across to the keyboard. Within this you can add a new lighting scheme, and in here you have lighting link. Now that will go across all of your devices from one to the other. You may notice the light going backwards and forwards for the visor. May be more obvious if we change it all to red. And there are various options that you can do. It would be nice if there was one more option for me, and that's the wave option that will go across all of them, but at the moment that's not a big drama. And there you can see the real time on the display, what's going on. Corsair have brought out the Mark II keyboard. The keyboard, I'm actually not a fan. I'm sure it it uses all exactly the same keyboard switches. The styling is slightly different, and I'll put a picture up. Not a big fan of the new Corsair logo. That lights up, that has RGB around the logo, but it just looks a bit more tacky. And the wrist rest is, I'm not a big fan on the new wrist rest. And the silver volume rocker. Other than that, I'm sure it is going to be as effective as the old one. Anyway, I highly recommend the keyboard. I like it, it's effective, it works well, and I haven't had any problems with it whatsoever. Good keyboard, well made, good stuff. Well done, Corsair. Hi, thanks for watching. If you've liked what you've seen, please hit the like button. Also, if you haven't already, please subscribe using the subscribe button below. Also, to be notified for future videos, hit the bell.